Come away, O human child, to the waters and the wild, with a fairy hand in hand, for the world's more full of weeping than you can understand. Shiallia is the goddess of fertility, of newborns, of pregnancy, and of new life in the woodland realm. She is known by many names, including the Dancer in the Glades, Daughter of the High Forest, the Lady of the Woods, the Dancing Goddess, and Sister Goddess. She is the nurturer of living beings, from aiding pregnant forest creatures to the planting of seedlings, to protecting young creatures that cannot yet fend for themselves. Shiallia appears as a female Korrid, being a small fey creature with the legs of a goat, not unlike a satyr. Notably, however, she lacks the full beard that male and female Korrids grow alike. She stands between 5 and 7 feet tall, and she appears beautiful and full-figured with long blonde hair adorned by oak leaves and acorns. Her short, graceful tunic hangs carefree from one shoulder and is secured by a delicate belt around her waist. Her voice is low and sensual. She loves canny wordplay, frequently twisting phrases into double entendres and ribald innuendos. All in all, her otherworldly beauty and honest demeanor are more than enough to stun lesser beings into silence. Sometimes she may appear as a misty figure, translucent and trailing behind her long green dress, or she may take the form of a graceful doe, surrounded by an entourage of noble bucks who will obey her every silent command. In all forms, however, she is a perfect and distinguished specimen in grace and in poise, even when she merely sends her approval as a cluster of dancing green lights to shed light in darkness, or as a sudden, unexpected shower of acorns over a Korrid celebratory dance. The origins of the Dancer in the Glades are distorted by varied mythologies. In one legend, the pure water spring that feeds the Unicorn Run River is in fact the womb of Chauntea, the creator of all life, and Shiallia emerged as a midwife to oversee the birth of all living things. Other tales locate her as either the sister or the daughter of a forest spirit worshipped by the Uthgat barbarians by the name of Tree Ghost. A third legend describes her as the child of Tapan, the patron of the Korrids, and of Sharindla, the dwarven goddess of healing. But what is known for certain is that the resurgence of her faith follows a deadly plague that decimated the city of Silvery Moon in the year 1150, in whose aftermath many shrines and temples were built in her honor as the population recovered. Shiallia serves as the midwife of Mialiki, the forest queen, overseeing the birth of all woodland creatures. She is a free-spirited and playful goddess, singing along to the birds in the trees, running and leaping with playful deer, and playing joyful games with fox cubs in the evening. She is as liberated as the most rambunctious satyr, but do not mistake her free spirit for shallowness, for she possesses depths of empathy that may shock witnesses to her effortless insights and keen judgment of character. While she prefers not to involve herself in matters outside of her domain, she remains fiercely protective of all living creatures, and especially their young. Regarding intruders to her realm, she is tolerant, but will quickly utilize all of the forces of nature to expel those who overstay their welcome. The sister goddess is one of a close familial pantheon. She willingly serves Shiallia and, by extension, their Lord Sylvanos the Tree Father. She is also fond of Shiallia's messenger Gweren Windstrom, and especially Larue, the unicorn goddess, with whom she works closely. Outside of this found family, she also has a great kinship with Sharindla, the shining dancer, and counts among her allies many other nature deities, including Chontia, Eldath, the goddess of peace, Shondacle, the wandering god, Nabanyan, the lion king, the elvish patron Coralin Lorethian, the god of forest gnomes, Bearvan Wild Wanderer, Yondala, the patron of halflings, and Sheila Perroil, the halfling nature goddess. For her enemies, she vehemently opposes Talos, the god of destruction, and Oral, the winter goddess, for their capacity to destroy what she nurtures. But especially Talona, the goddess of disease, who exists only to wither life. And finally, Malar, the beast lord, she regards with utter contempt, for his focus on savagery and dominance represents a, quite frankly, pitiful understanding of the natural world. Shiallia's personal realm is known as High Glade, and it is located in Krigala, the first layer of the plain known as the Beastlands, comfortably nestled beside Shiallia's realm known as the Grove of the Unicorns. She has also been known to take up residence in the plain of Bitopia, roaming the neutral good portions of the twin paradises. When Shiallia assumes humanoid form, any mortal who gazes upon her is transfixed, suffering a charm effect. When she appears as dancing lights, their radius acts as a healing spell, curing any pain or complications related to pregnancy. In combat, her unarmed strikes cause foes to dance uncontrollably for up to 10 minutes. She may communicate with any woodland creature or transform into any animal at will, partially healing herself as she changes. Her movement is unimpeded by even the most impenetrable walls of plant matter, and she is able to identify any plant, animal, or source of pure water. Likewise, she leaves behind no footprints or traces of her passage. She is immune to the magic of all forest creatures, and none shall ever attempt to harm her, even at times leaping to her defense against all instincts of self-preservation. She is resistant to fire and to lightning, and her powerful magic specializes in spells that charm, that heal, that create, that protect, or that otherwise manipulate natural forces such as plants, animals, or the weather. At her belt hangs a magical pouch from which she may produce any non-magical item smaller than 3 feet across, excluding weapons and armor, whilst the acorns in her hair are more than mere symbols of growth. When consumed, they triple the chance of conceiving children, and when planted, they will slowly grow into a verdant forest, even when placed in dead soil, as the tree roots shall reach even down to the underdark in search of nutrients. Her greatest gift, however, is known as an acorn of desire, being a golden acorn that falls from the sky to land at the feet of a chosen follower, granting them a single wish, and leaving behind a golden acorn tattoo on the palm of their hand. Finally, if one sleeps in a forest glade where Shiallia has danced beside Mialiki, Eldath, or LaRue, they are fully healed of any ailments and injuries. Shiallia is a demigod, and her neutral good alignment reflects her straightforward manner. Her clerics tend to adopt the nature or the life domain, and they turn and destroy undead. She wields a magic staff known as Forest Friend, though rarely as a weapon, and likewise her clergy carry simple quarterstaves. Her divine casters pray for spells whenever the moon is at its highest point in the sky, for the lunar cycles govern fertility. The followers of the dancing goddess are known as Shiallians, or as silent helpers, and they welcome any non-evil forest dweller, midwife, gardener, or nature enthusiast into their fold. For their devotional acts, they husband the growth of new life, be it within the forest realm or further abroad in the great wide world. The Shiallian calendar of events is seasonal, celebrating midsummer, midwinter, and the feast of the moon by inviting all to dance and to be merry within their company. But their greatest festivals are held on green grass as a celebration of birth, and on high harvest tide as the time when life comes into maturity. Weddings are also sacred to silent helpers, and they work to enhance such events with fairy magics, charms, and whatever tools they have at their disposal to create a romantic, magical atmosphere. They particularly favor and encourage weddings that fall on the days that mark the changing of the seasons, being the end of winter and the spring equinox on the 19th of Ches, the warming of the summer solstice on the 20th of Kythorn, the golden change to autumn on the 21st of Eliant, and the cooling into the winter solstice on the 20th of Nightle. Shiallian clergy are known as Sisters of Life and Mercy, though there are also Brothers of Life and Mercy among their ranks, albeit in smaller numbers. They include clerics, druids, rangers, and paladins all, each tending to their own corner of a forest landscape, specializing in the unique ecology of their domain, or else wandering freely, returning periodically to tend their gardens and projects. They are selected for service based on their wisdom, their beauty, as well as their playful and motherly traits. All dedicate themselves to protecting and to fostering life, as well as to guiding those who find themselves lost in the wild woods. Sisters and brothers of life and mercy both wear their hair long and free, decorated with oak leaves and acorns. They favor unassuming robes of green and brown, upgrading to flowing white robes and reed-woven sandals during rituals. They typically also wear a necklace of one or more golden acorns as their holy symbol. Even when adventuring, they tend to shun the wearing of animal hides or the wielding of forged alloys, wearing padded jerkins, bark cuirasses, or molded resin armor. Their quarterstaves are branches that have fallen naturally, and sometimes they will wield snipping shears in the style of the Corrids, being small weapons that follow the rules for daggers without having the thrown weapon property. There is no strict hierarchy to the Shiallian clergy, but rather their titles and seniority are determined by gender and relative age. When addressing a junior, one calls them daughter or son, whilst those of the same approximate age call one another sister or brother, and likewise elders are afforded the title of mother or elder brother. Finally, the dancer of life, also known as grandmother, is a venerable female Corrid who oversees the faith. Shiallia's specialty clergy are known as woodwives. Their ranks include elves, half-elves, forest gnomes, halflings, female humans, and Corrids. They practice a unique form of fey magic whereby they weave their hair into a temporary magic item known as Corrid ropes that last for a day and will entangle and immobilize enemies. Woodwives also possess the ability to heal creatures by touch. Silent helpers are largely unknown outside of the high forest, which is riddled with trails left by their tending to their favorite habitats. But she is also venerated in Neverwinter Wood in the northern Sword Coast region, and throughout the lands surrounding Silvery Moon, which are known as Lurua. Individual Sisters of Life and Mercy keep their own favored shrines along the winding forest trails they use to mark their domains, but the headquarters of the faith is known as the Glade of Life within High Forest. There the grandmother of the faith dwells amidst otherworldly fey beauty and millennia-old oak trees. It is a site dedicated to Shiallia, to Chauntea, to Eldath, and to Larue equally, and from its heart bubbles up the pure spring water that feeds the river Unicorn Run. The daughter of the forest also has an inn known as the Golden Oak, dedicated to her as a temple within the great city of Silvery Moon. It is built around an old oak tree and features clever architecture that allows the rain to fall through the building watering the abundance of plant life within without dowsing patrons. Finally, there is rumored to be a temple known as the Grotto, somewhere in the vicinity of Everlund, just away south of Silvery Moon. Though the dancing goddess has no knightly chapters to speak of, her mistress Mialiki has pledged an order of female rangers known as the Shields of Hope to escort and to protect Shiallians as they administer to the flourishing of life within the High Forest. This elite sisterhood travels in bands of 3, and they are all afflicted with a controlled form of lycanthropy that enables them to take the form of swans. In my world, Hayron still recovers steadily from plague, from war, from famine, and from tragedy. Populations still linger below, replacing the millions who are lost in the divine spell plague, and thus there is more than enough farmland to feed all. In such an age of rebirth and renewal, prayers to the goddess of fertility echo abound. Erstwhile, the disappearance of the gods was prefaced by the retreat of the elves from Faerun's shores. Forewarned of a great power shift by their departure, Shiallia infused shards of her own divine essence into her followers, collectively transforming a council of female Chorids into her living avatars, to shepherd the continuity of life apart from the age of man. In the last 50 years, elves have begun to return to Faerun, henceforth an orphaned half-breed shadow of their former selves. As one in every multitude of human families awake to find their child spirited away in the night and replaced by an elvish infant, like a changeling of Fey myth. One marvels that such subterfuge could occur beneath the nose of the persistent divine midwife. Perhaps some deal, some debt, or some as of yet undiscovered physic warrants the rebirth of elvish young in stolen nests. Appropriate, seemingly, given that so many of these young, so-called fallen elves are drawn home to find their dancing mother in the High Forest, dreamily wandering through the ruins of their once great civilization, searching for the truth that is half forgotten as the dreamer awakes. The silent helpers follow a simple, intuitive philosophy that the ultimate goal of life is to spread its seeds and to multiply. Good and evil are mere notions that follow the whims of the natural world, and thus survival itself is the highest truth. And in this way, death is natural and good for life, but ultimately it is the creation of new life that should be sought out, nurtured, and celebrated at all times.